Is my audio good? Is my audio? Ah, excellent. Alright, it works. Alright, we be working today, guys. Hello? This is the Pancake Spy. You're probably wondering, what am I doing at 11:21 in the morning, on a Tuesday with an MCU tier list? Well, funny story. So, in high school, we have PSATs. Mine is on Thursday. And, you should be asking yourself, why am I not studying? Well, I was studying. And this is the funny part. I woke up the wrong way, and I completely strained my neck. So, I cannot actually get up right now, because my neck, every time I turn my head, feels like I've been stabbed in the neck. I have not been stabbed in the neck, but it feels that way, because I completely 100% strained my neck. So if I sound like I am in intense pain throughout the stream, it's because I'm in intense pain right now. It hurts. It hurts quite a lot, actually. So, I did a film ranking of all of the MCU films. However, it was really cheap. I didn't have any recording. I didn't give any explanation for some of my rankings. And I wanted to do that. And also, since that video, a lot of opinions have actually changed. Or, not a lot of them, but some of them have really changed. Based on, like, rewatches of the movies. So, we'll go over those films. Sorry, pain in the neck. So, yeah, we're gonna go over all of those. It's all 23 films and WandaVision, because we're ranking WandaVision 2. It belongs in the party group. I was gonna wait for Falcon and the Winter Soldier to end, but since I'm literally sitting on my couch doing absolutely nothing because I can't do anything, the fact that I'm even on my couch and I actually got out of my bed is extremely impressive. So, yeah, I just felt like it today, okay? I just felt like it. So, I have nothing better to be doing right now, because I can't do anything right now. And it was so bad this morning, too. Like, I hurt my neck, and I went to stand up, and then I pulled my leg, or, like, I pulled my ankle or something, and that strained up. I'm like, I need water, but my neck is slowly healing, but... Alright, you did not come here to hear me whine about my leg problems. So, we're gonna go through the MCU films and TV. How do we want to do this? Do we want to do it in chronological order? Order of how they're listed? From which ones are F tier and which ones are going up? You know, we're just going to do it from how they're listed. So, the first one we got... So, S tier, we got, like, the best of the best of the best. You don't get much better than this. Like, the A tier, very solid. I have a fun time watching it. And it's an overall great film. B, it's pretty decent. It's pretty solid. Like, maybe it's good on one day, maybe it's not good another day. C tier, it's not a movie I'm, like, dying to watch, but, like, you know, I will watch it and maybe enjoy it. And D tier is just, I just don't like the movie. It's just bad. So, we're gonna start off with Avengers Age of Ultron. Oh, man. Now, I gotta warn you guys, if you saw the original ranking, I have some very unpopular opinions about some things, some movies in the MCU. One of which being Age of Ultron. A lot of people like to crap on this movie. I do not. And I'm even going to bring it to an A tier, because I actually really like Age of Ultron. I really like it. It's not S tier. It's nowhere near S tier. Like, it ain't getting nowhere near the S tier, but I think it's a solid A tier. In my opinion, it's a solid A tier. And you can't take that away from me. So, my justification, because the whole purpose of doing a tier list was, well, one, it's easy, because I can't move. Well, I can move, clearly, but also I can give a better explanation. So, for me, Age of Ultron, like, you already set up the Avengers in the first movie. You already set them up, so it works out. And to kind of focus on their dynamic, I like how, Scarlet Witch, or at the time, Wanda, like, kind of separated. They gave Black Widow, forced her to see her painful visions, forced Thor to see his painful visions, Captain America see his painful visions, but, like, kind of bring out the characters a little bit. I mean, they could have done better, but, like, it was good, especially with Black Widow and Hulk. They did a good job. But, again, speaking of Wanda, I think my favorite thing about this movie is how they introduced Wanda, Vision, and Pietro. Like, I could sympathize with, Wanda and Pietro's, motives in this movie quite a bit, which, that's always a good thing to have. Like, I think I sympathized with them as the villains more than Ultron, because, like, they had a legitimate reason to be against the Avengers, and then they end up teaming up with them because Ultron's just that much of a maniac. Like, he's just that cuckoo in the head, so it's like, to see their transformation from those bad guys to those good guys, they weren't even bad guys. They weren't even bad. They were just caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time, and they were simply standing against the Avengers because they thought what they were doing was right. They thought they were going to change the world. So, yeah, I'll get into it more with WandaVision, but I'm not going to lie, Wanda has gone on to become one of my favorite characters in the MCU since WandaVision. I mean, I already enjoyed her in the Avengers films, like Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. Like, I already enjoyed her as a character. She just wasn't, like, top 10, top 15 characters. But now, with WandaVision, she is just shot up to, like, the top 5. So, yeah. And this movie, in my opinion, does a really good job of introducing her and her brother and Vision. So, I wish they did more with Vision in the other films. They didn't do things with him. Like, they set up Vision as this really OP defender of the Mind Stone, and then they just don't do anything with him for the rest of the movies. Like, they just sideline him in Infinity War and Civil War. He's just kind of there because he has to be there. But, like, they don't really use him enough for me. I think, like, I love his quest for humanity, but that didn't really start until later. But, I think some of the jokes are pretty funny. Like, there's some good jokes in here. I think they could have maybe dragged the Ultron, like, creation a little bit out more. Like, he just kind of becomes bad instantly. Like, I would have liked to see a bit more growth in him becoming bad. But, yeah. The hammer lifting party, that was really fun. I really like when they're, lifting the hammer. They're all trying and they're all failing except Thor and Captain America. Maybe either he couldn't do it yet or he was just pretending, because, yeah. So, I really like Age of Ultron. I don't care what anyone says. So, Captain America, the First Avenger. This, in my opinion, is the most underrated MCU film of all time. I really like this movie. I really like it. I know a lot of people say Doctor Strange is the most underrated MCU movie, and I can agree with that. I can very much agree with that, but that Doctor Strange is underrated, but I think Captain America, the First Avenger. Actually, I think Age of Ultron might be the most underrated. People just crap on that movie, and for no reason. Like, it's so much better than... I don't know if I want to give the first Avenger a B tier. I'm going to give it B tier. It's getting the top of B tier, though, because it's pretty damn good. So, it's a really good introduction to Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes and Peggy Carter, and also, the military general who, Steve answers to is one of the most, he is just such a cool one-off character. Like, he's such a tough guy, but he's funny. Like, that's not my dog, but it's the house dog. Is snoring right now, but yeah, I just love the military dude. He's just so funny. And like Red Skull, I think Red Skull was a really cool villain to kind of start off the Captain America trilogy. Like, he just fit for a Captain America movie. Sorry, straining my neck. Seeing him get the shield and everything, like, I did really like the movie. So, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Again, 3 unpopular opinions. A tier. I like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I don't like it as much as Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, but I do like the second one. Yondu is my favorite member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they did my boy Yondu justice in this movie. I didn't think the first movie did Yondu all that good. I mean, it did him good, but, like, the second one, like, really focused on Yondu, and it's like, yes! I like Yondu, he's so cool. So, I like Yondu, and I think he is cool. So, there is that. So, I don't know, like, Ego is kind of like a massive jump up for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, you just go from... You literally go from taking down a big warship, like a pretty large warship, to a freaking celestial planet in like 2 days. It's like, I personally look at the MCU timeline in the release dates, because that's how they did it in Endgame. So, but apparently in the MCU chronological order, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 happened like 2 months after the first movie. And it's like, okay, they needed a little more time. They needed a little more time together before they were going to take down planets. So, yeah, Baby Groot was cute. I liked the Gamora and Nebula relationship. Star-Lord was kind of whiny in this movie, but he was in Infinity War, and we'll get to Infinity War because that's pretty high up. So, overall, I find it to be a very enjoyable movie. Maybe not as much as the first one, but still very enjoyable. Iron Man 1. No unpopular opinions here. I really like Iron Man 1. It is the elder father to all the other MCU movies. I'm giving A tier. It's such a good film. It just works. Like, it's such a different hero's journey from the classic hero's journey, because it's not just a nobody. Sorry, I gotta reposition myself, but you don't have to just reposition yourself. It's not just a nobody. It's like, he's a bad person. Like, in the first movie. Like, he starts out as a bad, egotistical, maniac, billionaire person that's not a very good guy, and then he goes on to becoming a good guy. It's like, yo, like, that's cool. Like, and it feels like a natural growth for Tony Stark. Like, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like when Tony just shuts down the weapons manufacturing, that feels natural. Like, it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel wrong that he goes from crazy man to superhero. Like, he feels, like, the whole film just feels natural in terms of Tony Stark. And, like, again, Robert Downey Jr. was just perfect casting. I know it was a big risk back then to cast him, but man, it paid off. It paid off. So, to cast him. I think the one weak link in this movie might be Obadiah Stane. But come on, like, how can you not be a villain and have such a cool name and not have a cool name like Obadiah Stane? Like, that is such a cool name. Like, sorry about dog, but that's just such a cool name. Obadiah Stane. I mean, I don't think he had to go into the massive Ironmonger suit, but like I don't think they had to have the plot twist where Obadiah was the one who ordered the 10 rings to kidnap Tony. He didn't have to do that, but you know, I thought Ironmonger was kind of cool. So, I thought he was cool. Also, I don't hate Terrence Howard as Rhodey, but I'm just so used to Don Cheadle that it's just like I don't see anyone else as War Machine. The same way I only see Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and not Edward Norton. So there's that. Alright, now, we've been talking about some good MCU films. We've been talking about some really good MCU films. Now it's time to talk about one that's really, really bad. Thor the Dark World. It's a D tier. Like, oh, it's so bad. I don't like Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World, I was bored out of my mind. Like, nothing could get me into the movie. I'm just like, the whole movie. Like, it was so boring. Like, I just, like, Malekith, like, oh my goodness. Like, was such a bad villain. Like, I have never seen a movie villain so weak as Malekith. Like, Malekith is, like, the weakest villain I've ever seen of any MCU film ever. Like, he has no personality. Like, he has no defining traits. He has no personality, no characteristics. Like, he literally has nothing. It's like, I know there's a lot of bland MCU villains, but this guy's just at the blandest of the bland. Like, blandest of the bland. It's, like, the worst. And yeah, the MCU does have a villain problem at times, but not always. Like, even, like, villains like Ronan the Accuser and, like, Zemo, and I'm trying to think of another one. At least they were cool. At least they were somewhat cool. Like, Ronan the Accuser, I'll get to him with Guardians 1, but, you know, he was maybe not the best villain, but he was still a badass. In his, like, the moments where he was badass, but, like, Malekith just doesn't have anything. And, like, Frigga's death was kind of sad, but, like, we never spent any time with her in either Thor or Thor the Dark World to make me feel an emotional feel for that character. I just didn't feel anything. For her, the acting just did not feel good. Like, the acting just did not feel good in Thor the Dark World. It just did not work. And you can tell. Like, you can tell that the cast was not enjoying the movie. Like, you can tell. Like, I know for a fact that there were a lot of, like, I'm pretty sure the only actor, like, main actor that did not complain about their time with Thor the Dark World was Tom Hiddleston. Like, everyone else, like, made a point of saying they did not enjoy doing that movie. So, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, a lot of the actors from Thor the Dark World. I know Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman did not like it. And I don't know the name of the man who does Heimdall, but I guess he said it was the worst movie experience of his life. So, and you can tell. Like, you can tell the cast was, like, they were not putting their game in, and it's like, you can't even blame them. You can't blame them for not putting their best into the movie. Because there was nothing to go off of. There was just nothing to go off of, you know? So, like, you could just tell with Thor: The Dark World. It just all right. I don't want to keep talking about Thor: The Dark World. It hurts me to watch that. Ant-Man. I know a lot of people really like Ant-Man. I wasn't a fan of Ant-Man. He's cool in Endgame, but like, and Civil War, but like his own films are just kind of boring. He's just a boring character. Like, he's not a boring character, but his movies are boring. Like, how do you go from this disturbed drinker, robber, like, father who lost a daughter and stuff, like, not lost a daughter, but lost custody of the daughter, and just make him into this comic relief character? Like, for me, like, the transformation from Tony Stark being the billionaire playboy philanthropist into Iron Man felt so natural. The transition of Scott Lang becoming Ant-Man did not feel natural. It just felt like he was criminal, training, criminal, not criminal teaming up with criminals to superhero. And it's like, and Yellow Jacket. We're talking about bad villains. He's not as bad as Malekith, but like, still, he was not a good villain. He was a really bad choice for a villain. Like, he wasn't even scary. He wasn't even, like, intimidating. He was just, blech. So, Captain Marvel, I'm gonna get some hate for this. I'm putting it C tier, and I'm gonna put it above Ant-Man. Because that's right. I actually enjoyed Captain Marvel more than Ant-Man. Not by much. Not by much at all. But still, I did not enjoy Ant-Man. Captain Marvel, I think it's hated on because of the actress, and for good reason. She's really annoying. But and woke. But you know, like, when you put all that aside, you've got Samuel Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson just makes every movie he's in better. You have a movie, and then you put Samuel L. Jackson in it, and it instantly gets better. Like, that is a fact. Like, he literally just makes every movie better. Like, every movie with Samuel L. Jackson is just better when he's in it. And the more he's in the movie, the better it gets. But, like, I think it would have been... I don't like the fact that the cat is the reason why Nick Fury lost his eye. I think they could have made it a little cooler. I did like the cat being a Flurkin. I thought that was funny. I liked the Skrulls. They were cool. I liked the Skrulls. They were fun. I liked going into the world building of the Kree Empire and everything. And we got to see Ronan again from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought he was cool. So, I thought he was cool. The Tesseract being Captain Marvel's source of power is cool, but like, back then she was considered the most powerful Avenger. Now that's changed, which is good because they changed it to Wanda. And I have a lot more positive things to say about Wanda than I do Carol Danvers. So, Captain Marvel, I'll watch it if it's on, but like, if you were to make me choose between watching Captain Marvel or Captain America the First Avenger or Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Age of Ultron or Iron Man, I'm going to choose those ones all day long. But I'd rather watch it than Thor: The Dark World. I will watch any Marvel movie except Thor: The Dark World. Even Iron Man 2, which is also at the bottom of my list. It was just a mess. Like, a lot of, like, they were just... I think because Jon Favreau, like, he set up that Avengers Initiative. Like, he set it up. And then it was like, he was given a second movie, and it was like, okay, I just gotta do everything to make this work. I gotta make this Avengers Initiative, like, happen. So I gotta do everything in my power. So I'm gonna put Black Widow in the movie. I'm gonna put Nick Fury in the movie. We're gonna give Iron Man some new... We're gonna put War Machine in the movie, because that was a cliffhanger from last time. But we also need to give Tony a problem. Maybe he's dealing with his past, but he's also dying. So like, it's just like, oh my goodness, just stop making things happen. Stop making things happen. Whiplash was just not a good villain. He just did not work. He didn't work, okay? He didn't work, okay? That's pretty simple. He just did not work as a villain. He didn't work. I do prefer Don Cheadle, War Machine, to Terrence Howard. That's because I'm used to him. So, again, I don't have much to say about this movie. So, there you go. Spider-Man Far From Home, I'm going to give B tier. I definitely prefer Far From Home to Spider-Man Homecoming. That's another unpopular opinion. I do not like Spider-Man Homecoming. Well, I don't dislike it. I don't dislike Spider-Man Homecoming. But for me, that film just does not resonate with me. I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. That's pretty simple, I would say. I'd say that's pretty simple. So, there you go. I like Mysterio. Put it this way. I like all the stuff with Nick Fury, Spider-Man, and Mysterio. And Ned, because Ned is cool. But I don't like the romance stuff with Peter Parker and MJ. I hate that stuff. It's so cringy. Look, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when it does a romance storyline, it's either a good romance story or it's a bad one. Like, there is no in between. It's either good or it's awful. And the Spider-Man and MJ one goes right in the awful for me. We have an entire TV show about a good romance, so we'll you know what, we'll throw it up there. Boom, there we go. I want to talk about WandaVision, so. And I'm not waiting until the end to do it. So, Captain America the Winter Soldier. It's going to be the first S tier. It's not my favorite Marvel movie, but it's a damn good one. Again, you got Captain America, and you got Black Widow, but unlike Iron Man 2, Black Widow actually feels like she belongs in this movie, and she feels like a necessary part of the plot, which is cool, because we like Black Widow. And Nick Fury's also in it, and as I've said before, Samuel L. Jackson just makes every movie he's in better. I mean, you didn't even have to have Samuel L. Jackson in this movie, and it would have still been amazing. But you kept him in the movie, and that just pushed it even better. So, that's just a plus. Bringing the Winter Soldier, or Bucky Barnes, into this was so cool. Alexander Pierce is a very underrated villain, in my opinion. I think when people think about the villain of this movie, it's Bucky Barnes, but in reality, it's kind of Alexander Pierce. And I think he's cool. I think he was really cool. Like, being the subtle politician, and then he got kind of scary at the end, where he's like, yeah, I put all those, like, security things on you, like those name tags, yeah, you take them off, you die, so you're gonna listen to me, and if you try and do anything else, you're gonna die. Like, dang. I think he's pretty underrated. I like the, Captain America and Bucky stuff. You also introduce Falcon. Who is so cool. We love Falcon. We love Anthony Mackie. We love Falcon. He's so cool. He's awesome. And this is the movie to introduce him as well. And it's just awesome to have him on the team, too. Because we like Falcon. I've said that multiple times, but it's true. He's a cool character. So, there we go. Thor Ragnarok. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little fact. Thor Ragnarok was the first MCU film I ever saw. And I saw it in theaters with my cousins. And I had, like, this is the movie. That is the reason I continued to watch the rest of them. So, did it stack up? The first time I watched this Marvel movie, I had no idea what was going on. But I still really, really liked it. And now that I've seen all the other Marvel films, I like it even more. And I'm going to put it in S tier. It's going in the S. It gets better and better with every watch. It's so ironic. The second Thor movie's in the D tier, and the third is in the S tier. Like, they got their stuff together with this movie. Like, there is a reason why Taika Waititi is doing Thor 4. Thor Love and Thunder. There is a reason he is coming back to the MCU to do Thor. And it is this movie. Thor is one of my favorite characters in the MCU. And it is not because of Thor the Dark World or the first Thor movie. It is all to do with Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War. Like, those two movies made Thor one of my favorite characters. Not Endgame. We're going to get to Endgame. We're going to be talking for a while on that. But just... And you can tell, like, when I was talking about Thor the Dark World, and I was talking about how you can tell the cast was just not in it, you can tell the cast of Thor Ragnarok, they were really enjoying what they were doing. Like, you could tell, like, if you see, like, behind-the-scenes stuff, or, like, them on set, you can tell everybody was enjoying it. Everyone was enjoying themselves. Everyone was having a good time. Taika just, when you see him, like, working with his actors, you can tell that he is a lot easier to work with. He sounds like he's very fun to work with, from what I heard. But I don't think I've ever had a Taika Waititi film that I have not liked. Because I've seen a few of Taika's films. I've seen Ragnarok, obviously. Jojo Rabbit, and there was one other one that I saw, and I don't remember what it was. But I remember that I liked all three. So, I have not had a single Taika Waititi movie that I did not like. And Thor Ragnarok is no exception. So, it's going into S tier. Thor just got a boost in character. They made him so funny. So funny. Loki is just awesome. You bring in the Hulk, which I hadn't seen the trailers, so I didn't know that the Hulk was going to be in the movie, and I only knew him because he was, like, a Marvel icon, so, like, he was so popular, so I'm like, oh, the Hulk's in this movie. I didn't even know he was Marvel. That's cool. Back then, but, like, yeah, I just really liked. And then Hela, I think she could have had a little more character development, but, like, she was still really cool. So, she was a fun villain. So, there you go. Avengers Endgame. Oh, man. I'm gonna piss some people off with where I put Endgame. I'm gonna piss some people off. I'm not just gonna piss some people off. I'm gonna piss off the whole world with where I put Avengers Endgame. B tier. Of the 4 MCU films, so Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, Endgame is the lowest ranked. So that is just confirmation that Infinity War and Avengers will be above B tier. Oh, where do we begin with this movie? There are things to like in this movie. I will not deny that. I will not deny that there are things to enjoy. The third act is very, very action-packed and cool. The portal scene is cool. Cap lifting the hammer is amazing. Iron Man's sacrifice is great. And the whole, like, opening act of, like, the world trying to get over everything happening, like, the world like, recovering with, Captain America leading, like, the therapy sessions. Like, stuff like that was really, really good. And Ant-Man, when he comes back and he sees, like, this post-apocalyptic world, was so cool. But everything else about this movie was just... everything with the time travel just was not good. Let's just start off with the fact that Captain Marvel just kind of found Iron Man out of nowhere. Like, literally. They could have even said, all they needed to do was say that Iron Man made a beacon. He sent a beacon for help, thinking it was the last option they had, and Captain Marvel showed up. That's all you needed to do for that scene to make sense, and they didn't do it. Like, that's all you needed to say. Like, Tony said in the hologram, or, like, to the message to Pepper, just like, yeah, we have no other options. The robot lady is going to send a beacon out. It's our last hope to survive. And then Captain Marvel shows up. Like, that's all you needed to do. They wasted Hawkeye, in my opinion. Absolutely wasted him. Like, that opening with him teaching his daughter the bow, and then they all go to Dust, was cool. And then the scene in Asia, or like where he was a ninja and Ronin, that was cool. But he goes from psychopathic murderer to just Avenger, like, in 2 seconds. There was no development from going crazy. Like, he was literally in the streets crying about how there was no hope for his family. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, alright, I'm gonna help with time travel now. I'm just gonna walk into the Avengers building and just help with time travel. Like, what? Like, it just... I think Hawkeye should have been like what Black Panther was in Captain America Civil War. He should have been on his own game to kill Thanos. He should have been on his own motives. He should have been doing his own thing, kind of like as a rogue. And then he realizes, like, wait, there's actually a chance I can save them. And then that's how he gets his family back. Like, that's how it should have went down. But they just wasted him. The Thanos, they just messed... How did they mess up the best villain in the MCU? Like, what made Infinity War so good was Thanos. Like, that is why Infinity War is so good, is because of how Thanos works. Endgame took everything that made Thanos amazing and just said, nope, now he just wants to destroy the universe because he's angry at it. And they just made him into your everyday Ronan the Accuser. And that pissed me off. Because it's like, now he just wants to blow up the world because he's angry. And that's not interesting. It's not interesting, guys. It's not interesting. So, and for some reason, Thanos has a buff, even though he doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet. They debuffed Thor and Hulk for some reason. Like, okay, Fat Thor, like, was decent, but after the talk with his mother, he should have been game on, and he was still cracking fat jokes and, like, stuff. It's like, he already got the motivation. He should be beyond this. He should be beyond this at this point, but, like, you're not even gonna do it. Like, wow. It was such a wasted opportunity, in my opinion, that, like, he just goes from that. I'm hoping Taika can do something with Thor, Love and Thunder. I hope he can use some proper comedy to make that movie better. But it's like, oh my goodness, that was bad. And also, consequences. They took consequences out of the MCU. What made Infinity War, again, was so good was the consequences. Consequences! And they just removed all the consequences with Endgame, because you could just time travel and just do whatever you want. And the thing is, they literally took out the rules of time travel just to avoid having time travel problems, or plot holes, or failures. So they just took out every rule of time travel just to serve the narrative, and it's just like, why? You might as well have just not even done time travel. You could have just done the multiverse, and imagine if instead of time travel, they did the multiverse, and we saw alternate versions of events. Like, what if we saw an alternate New York, where Loki had won the battle in New York, and all the Avengers were dead, and he was ruling Earth with the Chitauri? Like, imagine that. Or, like, an alternate version of Captain America who was serving Hydra, and real Captain America had to fight Hydra Captain America. That would have been so cool. But they just... It would have been way cooler than the cap-on-cap fight we saw in the movie. But, like, they just did not do stuff with Endgame for me. Like, literally. like, the whole Gamora being killed, I always got the impression that, like, once you die or killed for the Soul Stone, there's no coming back. Like, every version of you is dead. And then they just completely retcon that, and she's back with time travel. It's like, ugh. Like, literally, Hawkeye's like, we cannot undo Black Widow's death. You just undid Gamora's death! And it's like, you could just time travel, like, 5 minutes before they left, and be like, oh yeah, you die on the mission, but, you know, don't worry everyone, we win anyway, so you can just come back with us and not die. And then Captain America's ending. I despise his ending. Tony Stark's ending was good, but I just despise Captain America's ending, where he chooses selfishness over protecting the world. Like, that is just not something Steve Rogers would do. He also hijacked his own girlfriend from a past timeline. And oh, by the way, I bet you didn't know this, but there's a show called Agent Carter about Peggy Carter, and it's all about her dealing with the loss of Steve Rogers and moving on. And you know what happens in that show? She gets a new love interest, who becomes her husband, who is mentioned in The Winter Soldier. Captain America just walks in there and just breaks the timeline. Just all of that character development that show gave Peggy Carter was just stolen from her because Endgame wanted to retcon it. And now the Russo brothers are retconning that Steve Rogers was always the husband. It's like, why? Why? Like, and it's like, so you're just gonna leave Bucky. You're just gonna let the world burn down around you. You're gonna let Bucky be frozen and tortured like that while you just live out a happy life. It's just like, why? Like, this might sound... I'll talk about this more with Captain America Civil War, but this is what I think they should have done. I don't think they should have made Agent 13 Sharon Carter. I think they should have made Agent 13 Sharon something else. Halcyon. We'll call her Sharon Halcyon. And Cap should have just stayed with her. I would have just been okay with... I would have wanted Cap to see Peggy with her family, knowing that she was happy, and choosing to go with Sharon. Damn right. I would have rathered him go with Sharon than with Peggy in the end. I don't think Sharon should be Peggy's niece. I don't like that part about it. That part's kind of weird. But, like, if you just made her a different character, or, like, not related to Peggy, then I would have wanted him to just do it with her instead. So, yeah. That's how you write a good romance ending. Happily Ever After land. Speaking of Happily Ever After lands, WandaVision. So, now, as I said before, Wanda Maximoff just went, like, she just went up on my character ranking for the MCU. Like, she went from, like, a character that, like, I really like having on the team to, like, one of my favorites. Like, top 5 MCU characters. Not even heroes. Characters. Like, top 5. Like, after this show. I've been hearing some people recently, they've been crapping on WandaVision because of the finale, I guess. But, like, even, like, more than the finale, people are just crapping on the show all of a sudden. And I can't agree. And I know I'm going to surprise a lot of people. I'm going to blow a lot of people away. It's a flippin' S tier for me. This is flippin' S tier content for me. Like, flippin' S. Like, I'm not joking around. This is S tier content, in my opinion. Like, this show, when it was first announced, I had no faith in the show. I was like, it's so weird. It makes no sense. It's so weird. It makes no sense. It's going to be so weird and messy. And then, like, 2 days before the show came out, I found myself, like, ready to watch it. And, like, I was just ready for every Friday. I was just so excited to see the next episode. Like, it was an event for me every Friday for an episode to come out of this show. Like, it got me so invested. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the sitcom part, but that's because y'all don't have class, you know? Because I have watched a lot of sitcoms with grandparents, and I got some class. Y'all, if you're all just coming to the MCU to watch people punch each other and blow stuff up, you got no class. WandaVision tried something creative. It tried something different. And then it used the sitcoms, and it brought them into Wanda's character, and it felt natural. It made sense. Episode 8 of WandaVision is a MCU masterpiece. It is an MCU masterpiece. A Marvel masterpiece. And I will not take that statement back. Episode 8 of WandaVision is just where Agatha brings Wanda through that Ghost of Christmas style journey of her past is MCU magnificent. Like, we already got like a hint at Wanda's trauma and her pain. But after that episode, like, you can feel for her. Like, that was like, you can legit sympathize with her. And for me, WandaVision shot up a lot of MCU content. WandaVision brought Age of Ultron up a lot higher on my list. Like, before WandaVision, Age of Ultron would have been a B. But since WandaVision came out, it's an A. Because it just boosted Wanda and Vision up that much. Like, it makes Infinity War... We're gonna get to Infinity War, but spoiler alert, it's like at the top. It's legit the top. And WandaVision, like, I didn't think Infinity War could become better, in my eyes. WandaVision literally made it better. Like, with the Wanda and Vision stuff, with Vision sacrifice and everything. Like, it literally made, in my opinion, the best Marvel movie somehow better. Like, that's insane. For me. Vision is also awesome, and the mystery of trying to figure out what was going on with Vision, that had me so puzzled up until the end. I was so, like, until episode 8, I was genuinely confused. What was going on? And I was not expecting White Vision. Like, that legit blew me away. Like, that legit, like, because I just wasn't expecting it. Like, I didn't know much about that comic line. I knew a little bit, but not a whole lot, and just, it blew my freaking mind when it happened. It blew my freaking mind. Completely. Like, yeah, there was no Mephisto and no Doctor Strange, and yeah, I mean, if Doctor Strange... Oh! Yes! Okay. Okay. My live streaming disconnected for some reason, but yeah. I'm gonna put WandaVision at the bottom of S tier because the finale was a little weak. The finale was a slight bit weak. It could have been powerful, but guess what? It's not even their fault. Like, COVID got in the way. They couldn't shoot the rest of that finale. They couldn't film anymore. Like, that finale, they couldn't finish filming. Like, we know that it was supposed to be a 2-part finale, but they couldn't do that. Like, and the fact that they got the finale out that they did is still, in my opinion, really impressive. Like, that scene where Wanda, like, she takes in all Agatha's power and, like, she becomes the Scarlet Witch. She gets the outfit. Like, I'm like, yes! Like, that scene was, like, crazy for me. And I despise her comic book costume. I despise it. The Halloween costume was cool. Like, with the Halloween costume, they made it work. But that's because it looked fake. And they didn't try and make it look real. Because, like, it looks so over the top and sexualized. The comic book costume. It just looks so bad. And yes, the Halloween costume did that too, but... Come on! Like... So, and I love the new one so much more. I love the new one. The new MCU one. It's so much better. It's so much better. It's so much better. Monica Rambeau is so cool. She's so awesome. Like, I'm like, yes, more Monica. Like, is it bad that I'm more excited for Captain Marvel 2 because Monica is going to be in the movie and not Captain Marvel? I'm honestly more excited to see Monica in Captain Marvel 2 than I am Captain Marvel herself. Like, is that bad? Is that bad? Because, like, Monica was just awesome throughout. Like, sure, like, they didn't really have a chance to introduce her in Captain Marvel, which is understandable, but, like, dang, they just made her good. So, this live stream is already an hour long. So, I'm gonna wrap up talking about WandaVision. I just adore this show. Like, I can go back and watch pretty much every episode, even the first 3. That's right, I enjoyed the first 3, and I think they were amazing. And I don't care what anyone else says, because I thought the sitcom was so unique and clever, and the actors were, like, perfect casting for sitcoms. I mean, sitcoms obviously run in the Olsen bloodline, but, like, even Paul Bettany. I never thought I'd see Paul Bettany, like, as a sitcom actor, and, like, he just made it work. And Catherine Hahn is just amazing, as both a sitcom character and a villain. I thought Agatha was a cool villain. So, I'll stop talking. I could talk about like, this whole stream could have just been me talking about how good WandaVision is, in my opinion. Stop crapping on this show. If you don't like the sitcom, you don't got class. If you don't got class, the show just ain't built for you. Go watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'll tell you where I would place that show at the end, even though it's not on here. I'll tell you where I'd put it. So, Black Panther, I'm going to get some crap on this, but I think it's overrated. I'm giving it a B tier. I do really like Black Panther. I do really like it. I do really like it. Killmonger is one of the best MCU villains. This is not up for debate. It's not up for debate. Killmonger is amongst the best MCU villains of all time. And you are not allowed to tell me otherwise. T'Challa is so awesome. Wakanda forever. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. You will forever be missed. Long live the king. You are amazing. You were amazing. Not just as an actor, but as a person. You will be forever missed. Okoye and Shuri, they were so cool. Forrest Whitaker was in the movie. I forget what his character was, but he was cool too. M'Baku was cool. It's just, for me, Black Panther was a solid movie. But, like, there wasn't anything in Black Panther to make me, like, jaw drop. Like, the ending, for me, was a little over the top. That third act was a little over the top. I didn't need a Wakanda Captain America Civil War in Wakanda. I didn't need a Civil War in Wakanda. Like, they were trying to bring the stakes up to an Avengers level threat. They were trying to bring up an Avengers level final battle when they didn't need an Avengers level final battle at the end. So, there you go. And, I don't know, the whole, like, the opening for me was really boring. Like, I found myself really bored at times with Black Panther. Like, I don't mean that, like, in a bad way, but, like, I just found myself bored. Like, there were times where I just couldn't get into it. So, yeah, I don't hate the film. I don't hate the film at all. I do really like it, but, like, it's just not for me. I do love the representation for colored people, because that's awesome. Like, they deserve it. They deserve it. But let's be real, the reason so many people put this movie at S tier is because of cancel culture. Cancel culture is literally the reason this movie is one of the highest grossing of all time. Not because the characters were good, which they were good. They were meant, like, pretty much every character in this movie was amazing. But, like, let me ask you this. If Black Panther, if the entire cast was white, would you still enjoy the movie just as much? Let me just ask that. If the entire cast was white, would you enjoy it as much as the original film? If you say no, well, you just fell into the cancel culture category. Obviously, like that's literally the reason why people put it so high up. And yes, it definitely enhances the movie, but like for me, it just doesn't change anything. The fact, like, because I'm not someone that segregates every race and puts one above the other and below and above and calls it equality. I just say human beings are human beings, but I don't want to get political about it. So, there you go. Yeah, but so when I'm looking at it as an overall film, not a cancel culture product, Black Panther's a B. So, I don't hate the movie. I feel like I just trashed the movie. I didn't mean to trash the movie because I actually really like it. But we just got to make some points clear. We got to make some stuff clear, okay? We got to make some stuff clear. Okay? Avengers Infinity War. I already said it. It's at the top. Infinity War, it's at the top. No questions asked. It is at the top. It's at the top. It's just at the top. Thanos is literally like one of the greatest MCU villains. No, he is the greatest MCU villain of all time. He is the best MCU villain of all time. Like, that is not up for debate. I mean, yeah, you could say Loki and Killmonger, and I will accept those answers. But if you say anyone else, you're wrong. So, there you go. Yeah, I just love the dynamics they do with this movie. I really love the dynamics they do with, this movie. So, there you go. The action sequences are amazing. Every character has a moment to shine, in my opinion, for this movie. Even, like, the side characters, like, not even just, like, the OG Avengers and the Guardians, but, like, Wanda, Doctor Strange, Okoye, Black Panther, Falcon. Well, Falcon, yeah, even Falcon, like, and War Machine, they all have their moments to shine in this movie. It's like, yes! Even Mantis, well, maybe not, well, kind of Mantis. Spider-Man is so funny in the movie. I love Spider-Man in Infinity War. Like, I just love the dynamics they made with Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor and Rocket Raccoon, and Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they just intertwined so perfectly. Just so perfectly. It's amazing. It's a brilliant film, in my opinion. There are moments where you are cheering, you are laughing, you are crying at some moments. I don't cry at movies. But some gut-wrenching... Well, actually, I'm not going to lie. The finale for WandaVision got me the closest I've ever got to MCU with tears. I didn't actually cry, but I got pretty close. I got close, okay? But, yeah, Infinity War is just amazing. There's no ifs or buts about it. If you put it anywhere else, you are wrong. Avengers. I'm going to put Avengers in A tier. Avengers is a really good MCU film. It is really good. It's really enjoyable. It sets up the Avengers really, really well. I think it's a really good film. I really like it. So, yeah, there you go. I really like Avengers. Loki was a really good starting villain. Loki was a really good idea to start the franchise off. That's a fact. He just was. So, there you go. He was just really good. So, the stream is going on really long, so I want to get through these pretty quick. Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm giving it the top of A. I'm not putting it in S tier because I think the plot itself was a little boring. But, like, the characters and the humor were so good that it's going at the top of A tier. It's going above Iron Man. It's going above the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. And it is, in my opinion, better than its sequel. Ronan the Accuser was kind of a bleh villain. But when he got badass, he got badass. like when he goes right up to Thanos and, like, kills his servant, it's just like, you take this matter seriously, buddy. of course, Thanos just comes in and... Was Ronan literally crying? I'm pretty sure Thanos made Ronan cry during that scene, and it's like, yes! And that's when it went from, like, yes, Ronan to yes, Thanos! Like, the best part about Guardians of the Galaxy, the best part about this movie, is that it's so radically different from the MCU films before it, and yet it still feels like Marvel. It feels like a Marvel movie, and it shouldn't feel like a Marvel. It should feel like a Star Wars movie, but it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It still feels connected with the other movies. And I think they did a really good job of doing that, connecting the Guardians of the Galaxy to the other Marvel movies. I don't really have a character in Guardians of the Galaxy that I hate. I love Star-Lord, I love Gamora, Drax, Rocket, Groot. Ronan, maybe not the best villain, but he was still dope. Nebula needed a little bit more. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think, was where I went from Nebula being the annoying secondary bad person to an actually cool character that I cared about. And then you go into Infinity War and Endgame, and I really liked her going there. So, there you go. But I love the history between Gamora and Nebula and Thanos, and then tying him in with Ronan, and then Ronan wiping out Drax's people. Like, it's all just really well weaved together. It's one of the funniest MCU movies. That is not up for debate. I think Ragnarok's funnier. I think Thor 3 is funnier, but Guardians 1 is still so fun. Iron Man 3, I legit fall asleep during this movie. I cannot stay awake for this movie. So, the last 2 times I've watched it, I've fallen asleep. And because I've fallen asleep, I haven't even seen the entire movie. Well, I have seen the entire movie, but it's just so boring that I'm eventually going to pass out. I just don't care about Iron Man 3. It doesn't insult me as bad as Thor the Dark World. Like, Thor the Dark World was just insulting. It was so bad. But, like, the thing Iron Man 3 has above Thor the Dark World is that the cast was actually putting their effort in and trying. I don't hate the Mandarin plot twist like so many people. I don't hate it because I was never invested in the comics. So, there you go. I was never invested in the comics, so it's okay. Captain America Civil War, S tier. Absolute S tier. The consequences of Age of Ultron. The best part about Civil War is I can see where both Steve and Tony are coming from. I can see where they're both coming from. And that's the best part. Is that you can see where both of them are coming from. So, that's the best part. So, like, you can root for both sides. But you can also not root for both sides because they're both doing questionable things. So, the action sequences are awesome. I love Zemo. I don't care what anyone says. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, by the way, it just made me go from loving Zemo as a villain to loving Zemo as a character. So, that's just me putting on some praise for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's me just giving it some spice. Giving it some juice. Telling it it's awesome. So, there you go. The action sequences are awesome. Everyone feels justified for being on their respective teams. Like, everyone who joins a side, like, they have a good reason to be on their side. Well, I mean, Spider-Man was just kind of there, but, like, who cares? Ant-Man was also kind of just there, but apart from that, they were cool. So, they were cool. The Incredible Hulk. So forgettable. I don't even want to talk about The Incredible Hulk. It's just... It was so boring. Edward Norton is not Mark Ruffalo. And, yeah, Abomination was cool. I'm happy to see him in She-Hulk, but that's about all I feel. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is going to get a solid B tier. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. It explores the more magical and mystic arts of the MCU, which is really, really cool. That's really cool to do. But, like, is it really better than the Avengers? or Iron Man, or Guardians of the Galaxy. No. It's still really good, though. The Ancient One is awesome. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is just perfect. Perfect. So, Caecilius could have been a better villain, but he was still cool. Dormammu was, like, freaking scary. Like, the first time I watched Dormammu, I was like, yo, this dude's scary. Like, he was legit terrifying. And yet, the way they took him out, like, with Doctor Strange using the time loop until Dormammu just gave up, was so creative, so unique, so clever, that it's one of the best MCU endings. Like, by far. And I love the training of Doctor Strange, teaching him the mystic arts, teaching him magic. I thought that was so cool. Teaching him how to be a wizard. So, and the sorcery arts. So, and I am so excited for Doctor Strange 2. You have no idea how excited I am about Doctor Strange 2 after WandaVision. Like, to see Doctor Strange, who is one of my favorite MCU heroes, and Wanda, or Scarlet Witch, who's one of my favorite MCU characters, go in team-up mode, back-to-back, either as allies or enemies. I don't care. Like, I honestly don't care if they're enemies or if they're allies, because I'm so excited either way. Because, come on, Doctor Strange vs. Wanda is a fight we all want to see. It's a fight we all want to see happen, even though we have confirmation that not only is Wanda the strongest Avenger, but she is confirmed to be stronger than both Doctor Strange and the Ancient One. So yeah, Wanda would still probably win the fight, but come on, that would still be such an awesome fight to watch. Wong is gonna be the movie. Wong is just the best. Wong, he's so cool. I'm so happy he's coming back too. Thor 1, you know, Loki was cool, but that's about all I can say about this movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp bored me to death. It was so boring. It was so incredibly boring. Bored. I was so bored with that movie. Spider-Man Homecoming. I was also extremely bored by this movie. Yeah, that's an unpopular opinion, but I was bored out by Spider-Man Homecoming. Actually, I'm gonna put Ant-Man and the Wasp at a D tier. Like, no, Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2, you go back right where you belong. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the plot was just, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp did the exact same thing as Iron Man 2, and it suffered for it. It suffered in doing the exact same thing as Iron Man 2. And Spider-Man Homecoming also suffered this. It did everything. It tried to do everything. And it ended up getting nothing for me. For me, I didn't feel anything. Like, it was just really, really painful to watch. Like, it wasn't painful to watch. Ant-Man and the Wasp was painful to watch, but not Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, literally. Vulture was a cool villain. Tom Holland, Spider-Man, he's awesome. Having Iron Man in the movie just made it better. But, like, again, the romance with Liz was just not good. It just was not enjoyable. It was not good. The plot twist that Vulture was the dad was cool. But, like, everything else just felt so messy. The film feels messy to me. So, there you go. If you want to know where I would put Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm going to put it in B tier above Endgame. It's between Endgame and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So there you go, guys. This is my ranking. I will be doing another ranking probably at the end of the year. Probably once Spider-Man 3, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Shang-Chi. I don't know if Eternals is coming out this year or next year, but we'll hear about that. When all of that stuff comes out, I'm going to do another ranking. So, once all those wrap up. Maybe I'll wait until after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out, because that film is going to be so good. It's going to be so good. I hope it's good. I really hope it's good. I'm thinking it's going to be good. But that's it for my live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.